It's a lot of hypocrisy going on, man, and it's really hilarious how some of these Paige Bueckers fans are making her day about Caitlin Clark.
Paige Bueckers is moving the needle more than Caitlin Clark ever could. That's what the haters started saying literally minutes after UConn cut down the nets. But are they living in an alternate reality? For someone that was literally not even playing in the game, Clark sure lived rent-free in a lot of heads during the national championship, and soured a great storybook ending by pitting Bueckers against her.
The world of women's college basketball is having a moment, and at the center of it all are two names that just keep dominating headlines: Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. But let's be real, this isn't a real rivalry, not in the traditional sense. There's no bad blood, no trash talk, no viral clips of on-court drama. What we do have is something even more powerful. A media-made, fan-fueled showdown that's turning heads and rewriting the playbook for what women's sports can be. Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, different schools, different styles, but the impact? Monumental. Clark has become the Steph Curry of the college game, pulling up from the logo, breaking records left and right, and leading Iowa to sold-out arenas. Paige? She's been a superstar since day one at UConn. Injuries may have slowed her down, but the moment she's on the floor, you feel her presence. The way she controls the game, her poise, her vision, it's special. These two aren't just athletes, they're brands, they're movements, and fans have bought in hard. Scroll through Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. The Caitlin versus Paige debate is everywhere. Iowa fans say Clark is the GOAT. UConn fans say Bueckers is more complete. Who's the better passer, the better scorer? Who would you build your team around? And then there's the media, feeding the flames with every headline, every stat comparison, every clickbait debate. It's not messy, it's marketing. And it's working. Iowa versus UConn in the Final Four. Over 14 million viewers. That's not just a win for the NCAA. That's a statement. People aren't just watching, they're invested. The narrative of Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers sells. It drives engagement. And whether or not you pick a side, the end result is the same. Women's basketball wins. We're watching a new era of storytelling in women's sports, where rivalries don't have to come with hate.
Caitlin Clark was trending at #1 over Dawn Staley and Paige Bueckers for a little bit right after UConn won, right? I wouldn't even say a little bit. It had to be like a 2-hour run. But she was #1, right? Ring on Paige finger, no ring on Caitlin finger. And gonna put the little asterisk. Paige better than Caitlin, just in case Real forgot. We counting rings here. Some of the same people who didn't want people comparing Caitlin Clark to Paige and JuJu, they're doing the same thing, man. It's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, man. They couldn't even allow Paige Bueckers to have her.
They just need hype. And the fans? They're eating it up. Clark and Bueckers may never trade jabs on Twitter. They might hug it out after every game. But that doesn't matter. Because the narrative, even if it's media-made, has power. It puts eyes on the game, it gives young girls new heroes. It tells the sports world, we're here, and we're not going anywhere. Women's basketball is having a moment. Scratch that. It's having a movement. And leading the charge are two names that have become almost synonymous with the sport: Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. Now let's be clear, this isn't some bitter, hate-fueled rivalry. There's no drama behind the scenes, no viral beef. But the narrative, the media coverage, the online debates, that's where things get interesting, because this isn't just about two players. It's about what they represent. Two visions of basketball greatness, two fan bases, two icons, and one massive spotlight shining on the women's game. Caitlin Clark plays with the swagger of Steph Curry and the court vision of Luka Doncic. She'll pull from 30 feet, hit logo threes like it's nothing, and rack up assists with impossible passes in transition. She's loud, confident, and magnetic. She's not just playing basketball, she's putting on a show. And fans can't get enough. Paige Bueckers, she's different, but no less dominant. She's surgical, poised, and calculated. Where Caitlin might hit a heat-check 3 from the logo, Paige might snake through 2 defenders and finish with a smooth step-back mid-range jumper or a no-look assist. Her game is cleaner, more traditional, but just as deadly. And while Clark's rise has been explosive and viral, Paige's dominance has been quiet but persistent, even with the setbacks from injury. These two aren't just stars, they're archetypes. And that's why people can't stop comparing them. Here's the thing, the media loves a rivalry. It gives them something to sell, something to write about, something to debate. And with Clark and Bueckers, they've hit gold. Is Caitlin Clark the greatest scorer in college basketball history? Is Paige Bueckers the most complete player in the country? Clark versus Bueckers. Who's really the face of women's hoops? It's not about creating conflict, it's about creating conversation. And the fans, they've taken the bait willingly. Scroll through Twitter or Instagram. Check the comments under any NCAA highlights. It's all comparisons. Clark has better range. Paige plays smarter. Clark gets all the attention. Paige was doing this before her injuries. It's not malicious, it's passionate. And that's exactly what women's basketball needs right now. Let's talk viewership. Iowa versus UConn in the 2024 Final Four. 14.2 million viewers. That's not just a record. That's a seismic shift. Those are NBA-level numbers. And it's not just that game. Every time Clark or Bueckers is on national television, ratings spike, social engagement jumps, merch flies off the shelves. This rivalry, even if it's more constructed than actual, is working. It's doing what no marketing campaign, no league initiative, no NCAA promo ever could. It's creating organic, viral interest, the kind that turns casual fans into diehards. This goes deeper than basketball. Clark and Bueckers are more than just players. They've become symbols. Clark has become the face of the gritty underdog-turned-icon story.
He's defeated South Carolina 82-59 to win the national championship. Now, this is the 12th national title under Coach Gino Auriemma. This UConn team was kind of a prime example of peaking at the right moment, because for the past 2 months, they have been absolutely unstoppable out in the tournament. And before this national championship game, she had a 30-point game, a 40-point game, and then another 30-point game. And Paige ended off the game with 17 points in this national championship game, but she also landed third on most points in the NCAA tournament. So she ended with 477 points. Now, Caitlin Clark holds this record at 492 points in 17 games played. And then Shamika Holzclaw, she has 479 points in 22 games played, and Paige scored 477 points in 22 games played. So she's third on that list. She is in great company, and she had a fantastic.
Someone who stayed at Iowa, lit up the record books, and carried her team on her back to national relevance. Paige is the face of legacy, a UConn recruit, the next in line in a program that's produced legends. She has the polish, the pedigree, and the poise to become one of the greats. In a way, fans aren't just choosing between two players. They're choosing between two stories, two paths to greatness. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Race, privilege, media bias. These are all part of the broader conversation, even if they're not always front and center. The way these women are covered, praised, or criticized says a lot about how society views women athletes, especially when they're at the top. When we talk about Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers, we're not just talking about talent or stats. We're talking about cultural identity, how athletes are perceived, packaged, and elevated in the public eye. Because whether we like it or not, basketball, especially women's basketball, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It lives at the intersection of sports, media, race, gender, and society. Let's start with this. Both Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers are white women in a predominantly black sport. That alone brings a different kind of visibility, a different kind of marketing energy, and, if we're being honest, a different kind of media treatment. The spotlight they've received is massive, historic even. But it also raises a deeper question. Would the same media outlets, the same brands, the same level of national attention be given if these players were black women putting up identical numbers and performances? This isn't a knock on Clark or Bueckers. They've earned their praise. But it's important to acknowledge the system they operate in. Because while the media celebrates Clark's competitive fire, black players are often labeled aggressive or too emotional for displaying that same intensity. While Bueckers is praised for her calm demeanor and high IQ, similar traits in players like Rhyne Howard or Chelsea Gray often go underappreciated outside of WNBA circles. We saw shades of this play out during last year's NCAA tournament when Angel Reese's "you can't see me" gesture toward Clark caused a media frenzy, even though Clark had done the exact same gesture just one game earlier. The double standards were obvious. The narrative was controlled. This matters, not because we should cancel anyone, but because it highlights how deeply identity is tied to exposure and perception. Now let's talk about fan bases. Clark's supporters are fiercely loyal. She's got Midwestern roots, a relatable underdog story, and that social media virality that turns casual fans into full-blown stans. Her fans ride for her. Bueckers has that UConn aura. She was a high school phenom, a sports center regular before she even committed, and her game has always had that Hooper's Hooper feel. Her fan base is just as passionate, just as vocal, but they often see themselves as more pure basketball fans. Less about flash, more about fundamentals. And that divide creates a subtle but very real tension online. Some fans view Clark's attention as overexposure, a product of media hype. Others view Bueckers as underappreciated, forgotten during her injuries. And in the middle of it all is a much larger conversation about who gets to be the face of women's basketball. The truth? There's room for both, but history tells us something different. The media, the brands, the narratives, they usually want one face, one icon, one storyline. And right now, they've chosen Clark. That's why Bueckers' national championship win was so powerful. It reminded everyone that she's still that player. It shifted the narrative, not against Caitlin Clark, but alongside her. It was less about dethroning and more about balancing the spotlight. And for the WNBA, for women's basketball as a whole, that balance is critical. Because the sport doesn't grow from one hero. It grows from a generation of stars. Black, white, flashy, poised, loud, quiet. The more diverse the faces of the game, the stronger the foundation becomes. That's the real legacy of this Clark-Bueckers era. Not rivalry, not conflict, but a mirror, showing us how far the game has come and how much further it still has to go.